what would make a person decide to be okay with that and want to help uphold that? And I think that when you understand that the things that humans, like what they want and what they need, which is to like feel safe and to survive and to feel love and to have community, when you understand those two things, you're able to control them and make them do anything. I believe that most things that separate us in like negative ways, most things that have this purposeful exclusion of a group of people or whatever, it can be traced back to those survivalist mindsets, like in a time where we didn't know like what we could eat and what we cannot. We didn't know why the fuck it was raining and snowing. We didn't understand disease and mental health and just all of these things, I think that's really where these things came from, like racism, homophobia, misogyny. There's a time where people were really in those mindsets of like, not only like it's only important that I eat and like my family eats, which is just, could then be looked at as another version of like people who look like me eat, right? You didn't know who was a threat, who was gonna bring in what, disease-wise or whatever. And so it kept that like those communities and tribes or whatever, right? Because even when we're looking at racism, obviously we understand the perpetrators and the issue for a lot of things. However, when you're looking at many different cultures and like the continent of Africa, there were always tribes fighting with one another with those survivalist mindsets of like I was just talking about, of like, it's kind of like us against you. I am, the way that I look at history right now is you got to take everything with a grain of salt. And so for me, when I'm basing my ideologies and my perspectives and what I believe in, it's mostly based off of what I've experienced in this timeline. So what I've experienced, what feels right to me and my intuition, and then what I've seen happening to the world around me and the people that live in it, in my timeline, right? And then also like things that have just been well documented. Because I just think that humans, and I'm able to see this in real time, in my real life, it's so easy for us to be biased on something based off of how we think it should be, whatever. And so so I could see it being more like those type of ideologies making more sense for those times. Even though like, but I could just, regardless of how dark it was, but do you guys feel like we're still in those times though? Because I feel like we know so much now. Like we think we know so much, right? But we're at a point at least to where we do have somewhat of an understanding of why things are happening. We have like created so many inventions that have helped save millions of people's lives, sitting here thinking about just all of those things and what makes a person even go into these moments. Like even when we're looking at what's happening around the world right now, when it comes to the wars and like genocides and stuff, it's like, what would make a person decide to be okay with that and want to help uphold that? And I think that when you understand that the things that humans, like their literal, like what they want and what they need, which is to like feel safe and to survive and to feel love and to have community, when you understand those two things, you're able to control them and make them do anything. Yes, people have their own free will, and people should be able to, because I feel like people should be able to think, and how do people not understand though that that's just like terrible, killing and raping and doing all these things? Yes, but I think what plays another part in that is when you have never really experienced the other side of that. Like you've always been in a state of either being the oppressor or being in an environment that was just good. Because a lot of the time for these people too, they've never experienced talking to the people that they're destroying. They've never sat and had like real conversations with these people. So it's easier to just listen to what you've been told and have your whole mindset be based off of that teaching. This is why you also see most people who are activists and stand up, like there are people who have actually experienced those things. And that's why I'm also not necessarily a firm believer that just because you have knowledge, that means that I should listen to you. Because A, like I said, what can we really trust? And B, have you experienced it? And so I think that someone experiencing it is more, I would rather listen to you. Yes, when you're telling a group of people like our culture is like on the brink of being destroyed by these people, and like our livelihood and what we believe in is all going to be destroyed if these people, that is like threatening their safety and their livelihood in their community. And so like all those things, again, paired with like the ignorance of not understanding or never knowing these people, this is how you're able to get a whole army of folks to believe in what you're saying and to feel so confident in the destructions of other people's lives and culture. It is those same things that I just talked about that are used in order to uphold racism, homophobia, misogyny, all of those things that separate us in negative ways. It's those things that keep us where we're at, even in a time where we do have a little bit more of understanding. But there's still millions of people that would rather be in those mindsets. Just something that I was thinking about. I'm like, okay, yeah, like these things most definitely derive from those survivalist mindsets in time. But, I just feel like humans, we have to understand that we're not there anymore. And we also have to understand that like these are human beings, like these are people. I think a lot of people, they're so close-fisted and holding on to their belief system, which I feel like one of the things that I was blessed with is that I can have my belief system and what I believe in, but I still have this thing that allows me to understand that I could be wrong. Regardless of all the knowledge I have and all of the experience that I've had that helped me form that thing, I could be wrong. Because I don't know why we're here, and I don't know how we got here, and I don't know, none of us really know, regardless of how strong we feel. But I think that there's so many people that don't have that mindset, that feel like what they believe in is just the complete truth, so much that they're willing to kill over that. And again, it goes, I think, into like, it's in the same realm of feeling like your livelihood's at stake, your community's at stake if you don't do that in order to uphold the way that you see things. Instead of just having your mindset and your beliefs and like going around people who have those same beliefs and mindsets and like being with them. So this is just me saying it out loud, which I talk out loud to myself all the time, but just if anyone had that same question too of like, well, how can make a person want to do these things? And, just continuing that conversation. I think that the answers, right? Because that's, the conclusion of it all, or the answers, whatever. One will ask, well, what do we do? Or how does understanding that and knowing that, what does that actually solve? And so I think if we understand that we are being used, and they know our weaknesses, but they know what we are made out of, which is love, which is the need to survive. If we understand that that's what they're using to do that, we wouldn't let it happen. Or it would be easier for us to call out when it is happening. Like the things of like you literally going and like murdering people based off of these beliefs, you like attacking people, you even feeling the need to talk shit and say anything about anyone, what they're doing, if it's not hurting anyone, like, and that's just and I was just like, this is another thing too, like literally the social structure is rooted in shame, and it literally has done so good in pushing that people internalize shame and project it onto other people so much it is almost like our second nature. And so we have to also get ourselves out of that mindset and try to really just understand a person before trying. And so the things that I'm saying aren't new, but I felt like I needed to say it because even though it's not new, we still feel like we still are where we're at in life.